poor understanding of students' needs, incorrect vocabulary and grammar, and little or no parental involvement. Documents are parent logs, 9101, and stakeholder professionalism, which I should have done first, is modeling behavior, proper dress, attire, respect, confidentiality, understanding of personal strengths and weaknesses and how it affects student growth. It is not sarcasm, not being flexible, and poor attendance and punctuality. Documents are data notebook, contracts, parental communication logs, and student surveys.
Okay, science, professionalism looks like teachers being role models and leaders. They do this, they serve and do this continuously. Our documents to prove our POUs, teacher certification, parent conference logs. Professionalism is not sarcasm, a disregard for school mission. We have no questions. Communication looks like accessibility to parents and students, verbal and nonverbal communications, and we're proactive at doing so. Documentation are parent letters, parent logs, reminder 101, Infinite Campus. Communication is not slow to respond or non-responsive, and we have no questions.
All right, communication looks like the look for is parental contact log, progress report, report cards, IEP report cards, every 4 weeks are given out, and accessibility to parents and students. Documents to prove communications, the contact log, progress reports, good news letters. Communication is not no parental contact, no accessibility to parents and students when they need you, and unclear communications, and we had questions I still have. We had no questions about communication.
All right, professionalism. Professionalism looks like professional dress and behavior, respect students, coworkers, flexible with change, assess strengths and weaknesses, improve on them. Documents to prove that, POC documentation, lesson plans, data notebook, NIT. What it is not changing to suit the needs of students, not changing our weaknesses, not following state, local policies and procedures, and we don't have any questions at this time.
For social studies on professionalism follows laws, and carry out duties, behavior reflects maturity and professionalism, respect for confidentiality, flexibility, and adaptation to school changes, coming to PLCs with good attitudes and recognizing strengths and weaknesses. Our documents to prove would be our collaborative planning minutes or any type of meeting minutes that we have, TEKS documentations, our breakout session notes, any of the sign-offs we have to do for policies like a handbook at the beginning of the year, things like that, and then someone even mentioned fingerprinting has to be checked every 5 years. Professionalism is not immature behavior, inappropriate relationships with students, and we talked about that in any kind of situation. Gossip, not willing to change, griping and whining about any of our duties, refusing to see weaknesses and can't deal with criticism, and no extra questions there. As far as communication goes, looking for verbal, nonverbal is ongoing. You have a collaboration between your communicators, using precise language, explain strengths, similarities in all school district communications and policies, so just having everybody on the same page across the board. We have common planning, notes, emails, minutes from meetings, parent contact logs, and using Remind for students and parents. It is not one-sided, no slang, and also no BS was added to that. It's not negative, it's not vague, and it's not sarcastic.
Okay, the language arts department for professionalism, we said that it looks like motivated, positive interactions, professional growth, cares about students, lifelong learner, and it is enthusiastic. And documents to prove, formative assessment, we said the TEKS and the LEADs. Memberships in professional organizations, professional development agendas. And professionalism is not lazy and and unmotivated, unprofessional relationships with students, lack of growth, and unwilling to adapt to change. And communication, effective feedback, contact with parents and stakeholders, constructive commentary, listen to students, and the documents to prove, Remind 101, assessment feedback, parent letters, class discussions, and contact logs. And communication is not negative or bland, and no sarcasm and smiley faces. Just typical, good job, awesome, kind of generic type stuff.
All right, CTA professionalism looks like following policies and procedures and using best practices, using professional demeanor, maintains confidentiality, flexible, participates in professional learning. It's not neglecting duties, gossiping, poor attendance and behavior, unorganized, doesn't support school vision and mission. The documents approved would be teacher evaluations, student surveys, participation in PLCs and all meetings, and your 9-week counseling sessions. No questions. On 10, communication, excuse me, it looks like uses verbal and nonverbal communication techniques, shares student progress with parents in a timely manner, communicates with stakeholders, uses correct grammar and vocabulary while communicating. It's not failing to contact parents, confusing instructions, disorganized, and the documents to prove there will be parent letters, Remind 101, Facebook page, Hawk Herald parent conferences, the student handbook. You know, they have to get the signature from the parent on that they've read it, and no questions.
We had to go, we went to, bus, we went to Glissy along with the Inspired Leadership Group that Dr. Hinton has. And we had to bring our high school feedback report. And it dawned on us that when we were looking at the report and was talking about it, it dawned on us that we hadn't even shown it to the high school teachers. And you know, at Glissy, before you leave, you have to come up with something that you're going to do when you get back. And one of the teachers at either, I guess, the elementary school suggested that this report be shown countywide. And basically, even though it says high school feedback report, as Dr. Hinton put it, it's a report for all of us, because what the report shows is our put it up and show you better than I can as a report up. But basically, it's a high school feedback report. I don't know how to make this. I don't have to zoom. Can everybody see that?
Hit the control plus.
Control plus. I think everything's zoomed up.
It's Tyson's color code.
I think I hit control disappear.
Yeah, so
That's what all we use.
What if I download it and then
And while she's working on that, is that hard?
Yes, that is better.
I want to do where I can't see that. Is that okay? You might need to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's hard. CTA part of it is on point. But this report is basically a high school feedback report. It's a 6-year report of where our students go once they leave high school. And the reason why it's a report for everyone is because, you know, they start in kindergarten where they learn to read and you know, write and all that on up through the different grades. And then it all ends with this report. Now, let me explain each circle to you. Anyway, this is a green and red two-year school. TCSG is kids that go to a two-year school, whether it's a community college or a technical college. And the USG are students that go to the university systems in Georgia, okay? Now, where this is a little deceiving, you had 61, from here, yeah, you had 61% attend either a two-year or four-year school. And before this was put on there, you had 39% that you thought didn't go anywhere. But what this red doesn't account for is if they went to the military, if they went to an out-of-state, if they went to a college out of state, and also it doesn't account for if they went to a private school, okay? So that 39% is kind of, you know, you just got to keep that in mind. So when you move over here, 58% of our students went to the two-year, and 42% of our students went to the, I get this USG and this, yeah, no, flipped. That's the four-year, that's the two-year. So 58% of our kids, and this is over a period of 6 years, 58% of our kids went to four-year, 42% of our kids went to a two-year, and in that, you know, a bunch of our students go to military, a bunch of our students go out of state, and some of our students go to private colleges, so that's not factored in there. Then you come here, and this tells you the students that needed remediation. And keep in mind, only if they went to two-year, four-year public college. So we had 541 kids over the course of 4 years to go. 351 went and needed no remediation. We're talking about four-year. 127 needed some type of remediation in language arts, and 144 needed some type of remediation in mathematics. In the two-year, we had 386 kids go. 344 needed no type of remediation. 24 needed it in language arts, and 23 needed it in mathematics. Over a 6-year period, that's pretty good, y'all. That's pretty good, especially not factoring in the military, out-of-state kids, and private colleges. And the common thread through this whole thing is, you know how we always tell everybody right across the curriculum, and so that's where your language arts come in, and also with your, you know, all of the different types of reading activities that go on in the, you know, in the lower grades, all the way up till they get to high school. You know, our math, I know they're still doing the vertical teaming, trying to close the gap on that. But for a 6-year period, it's pretty good. And again, this is just the kids of Washington County High School. We had, again, that 39%, that's 597 kids that either went to the military, went out of state, or went to a private school. And if you remember for last year, the PowerPoint that Dr. Hinton did, I think it was 57 kids we didn't know, or 37, what was it? How much? 42. It was 42 kids that we didn't know where they were, okay? And that falls in that percentage right there. So 25% of our kids went to a 2-year in the state of Georgia, and 541 of our kids went to a 4-year school here in the state of Georgia. So when you look at this data, and you know, the data is, you know, the data don't lie, and a lot of times we'll get, you know, a little discouraged sometimes, and sometimes in our thinking, we'll start thinking things are worse than what they really are. And whenever I start thinking like that, I always go back and look at the data, because the data will tell you exactly where you are, what you need to do, and what you need to work on. So just wanted to share that. People that went to Glissy, and did I leave anything out? Or should y'all want to add something to it that we talked about concerning this report?
Remediation is not necessarily that they actually need a remediation. It's based on the fact that they need remediation for their, the standards that college has set.
That's a good point, I forgot about that.
Mhm.
When they
That was
talked,
misleading.
right, when they talked about the remediation, they were saying that the remediation, that's a big point, I'm glad you brought that up, Ms. Ingram. The remediation was not necessarily, it's not necessarily what the schools are not doing. It could be based on whether they got a ACT or SAT high enough that required them to go to remediation. My family, personal, my daughter scored her ACT for North Carolina, needed no remediation. For North Carolina, her score was high enough. My son scored the exact same thing as she did for Georgia Tech. And if he don't increase it by 1 point, he's gotta take remediation. So it's not a reflection on your school, it's a reflection on the requirement of the colleges and universities. So he was up here every morning in the watch room, getting ready for that test that he took this last Saturday, so that he could go ahead and get that 1 point. Now, he's qualified to get in there, but because of where his SAT is, if he doesn't get that 1 point, then he has to go to remediation classes. Yeah, which does not count towards a degree. Even though they pay for it, it does not count towards a degree. So it's important sometimes when people pull this up, the first thing you do, you look at that and say, oh my goodness, these many kids didn't go anywhere. Or you look over here and you're thinking, oh, we got a gap in our math and language arts. But that's not what that means. That's not what that means. That is determined or based on other factors than what happens actually in the high school. So just wanted to share that report. Anything else? Did I leave anything out? That was big, Ms. Ingram. Appreciate you. Anybody, did I leave anything else out? Listen, folks.
The other thing was whenever you did the whole report, you could have a certain score, but if it wasn't broken down how the college wanted it, they still would ask you to take a remediation test.
Right.
So if they wanted 1,100, but you scored it 1,100 in a different way, verbal, math, and you didn't have it how they wanted, they said, well, you know what, you scored too low in this category, so we want to test you, do a placement test.
Right.
That was the biggest misleader.
Yeah. So if you just look at it from its regular state, you look at it, you think, man, we said 100, we got 100, but that's not it at all. It's just, that's based on what the colleges need, okay? And this is basically, this is in SDLS, and it's what you call the high school feedback report. And like I'm saying, that's over a 6-year period. Okay? Okay. All right. As y'all know, y'all seen us floating around. We got these walkthroughs, and they've got a real tight deadline on us. So if you see us coming 2-3 days in a row, that's because they done bumped the deadline up on us, as to the time we have our formative assessments due. Please have your lesson plans, in the folder by the door, because the second one on there is talking about planning. The lesson plan ain't up there. That's all we have to go by, and we follow that rubric as a reminder. So please have your lesson plans up on the door, so when we walk in, we don't have to disturb you. We can just pull it out and make sure they're up to date. And also, they're supposed to be sent to the OneDrive, right? Dropbox, not OneDrive. Get Dropbox, OneDrive, put them together. But also, make sure you please have them. I know some of us, our printers are going out, and we need printers. As I was having that conversation with Ms. West today, me that when they purchased the copiers like they did, and they hooked the teachers up to print from the computers to the copier, the whole idea in that was to phase printers out. So if you one of the lucky ones that got a printer before that meeting today, then you're good. But we're in the process now of making that available again to where you can shoot the copies from your computer to the copiers in your area. And because the whole idea was to phase the printers out. Somewhere in my brain, I lost track of that. So we've already talked to technology. I don't think it's anything they have to put on your computers. I guess it's clicking a button or whatever, and making sure the signals are right so that we can start feedback to the computers. In doing that, y'all know our whole setup is different. Because in the old school, all the computers were in one location. You can feed to the computer if something went wrong, then either me or Miss Smith, we just run out there and fill it up or unjam it or whatever. Well, that's changed. So Ms. Brantley don't know this yet, but we had to divide up the duties and working through the logistics of it. So in my office, we'll handle make sure I got it right. Let me talk to Ms. Brantley first. I'll be the messed it up, and I don't want to mess it up. But we're going to have to split the upkeep duties, okay? And we'll talk and see what's good for you and what's good for me.
I was under the impression that we were told at the beginning of the year we couldn't do that.
Yeah,
Because
we just switched it back. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere in my brain,
Yeah, that's what everybody
that's what I'm telling you. Somewhere in my
Okay.
brain, I thought that as printers go out, we can, but as I was reminded by Dr. Hinton, that was the whole reason for being able to send it to the copiers. So as printers went down, they phased them out. Because I was actually going to ask, when she came around the corner, I was going to ask for some money to buy printers. Because some of y'all printers are 10, 15 years old. And I was just going to tell her I need some money for some printers. Because I can't afford all these. And that's when she politely reminded me that it's a whole lot cheaper at 1 cent a copy than purchasing printers. So we'll just continue like we're going, and then as we get things up and running, we'll just transition into that. All right, am I leaving anything out? Mr. Baker, you got anything? Anybody got anything for us?
I would just say that our science fair kids, I sent an email out, but they did really good at competition Friday, and Allie Dawson is our second student from Washington County High School to go to the International Intel Science and Engineering Fair. So I just think that speaks volumes.
Absolutely.
And so tell her congratulations.
Absolutely. Let's give it Hawk time. I just want to tell you, I know it's kind of an adjustment, but very pleased with what we're seeing as we're transitioning into that new Hawk time. And just remember, everything during that Hawk time is based on the data. And it can be based on the data that you're working on now. It can even be based on old data. So don't feel like, oh, every week I've got to, it can be based on old data that's telling you what these students need or what they're lacking. And then during that time, you base it on that.
I'm sorry, Coach. UPS just got here to pick up my equipment stuff.
Okay.
What I was asking is, they were supposed to be here at lunch, but I have kids to help me, but I got a couple of helmet bags.
Okay.
Can I recruit
You need some men.
like 2 or 3 guys?
Any of them won't help me.
Not everybody.
I'm winding down.
Talking about blood drive this Thursday.
Right.
So a lot of people blood, so just let us know about sign up for your plan period, and Diana will go
Jim,
ahead.
Jim's location.
And, we were recognized as a hero school. Very few high schools are recognized because of the amount of blood we give every year. I think there's only about 6 schools in this whole area that have been recognized as hero schools. We were the ones that was
Do
recognized.
they send us any kind of press release?
It was in the newspaper this week.
Which one?
In Central Progress.
That's your progress, okay?
Just come on, if you can give, just come on and we'll pitch to the first lane, what to do, wait there.
Yeah, that's how they do when I give. They just put us to the front. The kids are very understanding about it.
We missed our goal by one last, back in the fall.
You should talk about the mother already.
I know,
We already hit this all right there, mother.
so, we, come knocking on doors with us.
Yeah,
So we wanna try to get our goal, which is like, so it's like.
60 pints, for a school this size, it's 60 pints. This is the first time we've ever not,
Not
we had 59. We had a bunch of kids, but a lot of them couldn't.
right.
No
For
problem.
various reasons. Right. Okay. Any other news or stuff we need to discuss while you're all here? All doing good. All right. Thank you for your time. Make sure you sign.